Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep into the world of storyboard artists today, specifically how to totally ace that interview.
That's right. We're going to get you ready to show those hiring managers you're the one they need.
And we've got some awesome resources from RoleCatcher to help us out, career guides, tons of sample interview questions, and even some AI magic with their Copilot tool.
It's not just what you know, right?
Mhm.
It's how you show it. And that's where we come in.
Absolutely. Okay, so before we get into those tricky questions, let's set the scene a little. When we say storyboard artist, what are we talking about day to day?
Well, on the surface, yeah, it's drawing, but it's so much more than that.
Right. It's not just doodling in a notebook.
You're basically the visual architect of the whole project.
Ah.
Film, TV show, whatever it is, taking the script, the words, and turning them into a sequence of images that tell that story shot by shot.
So it's like creating a visual roadmap for the director and the entire crew.
Exactly. It's a blueprint, but a creative one. You're making choices that impact the whole feel of the story on screen.
No pressure then.
None at all.
Speaking of pressure, though, RoleCatcher's career guides do mention some pros and cons of this kind of work. Anything stand out to you?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the creative side is huge. You're collaborating with talented people, bringing stories to life. And it's a skill that's needed across so many industries now.
It's not just film anymore.
Not at all. Animation, gaming, commercials, all kinds of stuff. But,
Oh.
well, it can be competitive. The hours are long sometimes. And if you're freelancing, it can be a bit unpredictable.
That's fair. Feast or famine, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, that's why we're doing this deep dive, right? To help you be ready for the good and the challenging parts. Show them you're up for anything.
All right, let's jump right into those interview questions then. RoleCatcher gave us some real gems to focus on. Ready to tackle the first one?
Bring it on.
All right, here we go. Can you describe your process for creating a storyboard from a script? Seems simple, but I bet they're looking for more than I read and draw.
Oh, for sure. They want to see how you think, how organized you are, the whole deal. This is your chance to shine and show off your process. You know, I always say, emphasize that script analysis part. That's key. Don't just jump into drawing.
So it's about showing you're not just an artist, but a storyteller who really understands the narrative.
Exactly. And that's where RoleCatcher's Copilot AI comes in. It analyzes job descriptions and then suggests specific skills to highlight in your answers. For this quote, it might even suggest you talk about your experience with certain software or about how you take feedback and incorporate revisions, tailoring it to what that specific employer really values.
That's amazing. Okay, next question. Tell us about a time you faced a creative challenge while working on a storyboard. How did you overcome it? I mean, everyone hits roadblocks, right? So this is about how you deal with them.
Yeah, exactly. They want to see resilience, problem-solving skills. The thing is, don't be afraid to share a challenge you faced. Pick a specific example, maybe a scene that was really tough to visualize, a tricky emotion to convey, even a time you had to work around some technical limitation. Walk them through your thought process.
So it's less about the problem itself and more about how you creatively figured out a solution, showing them you're proactive.
Exactly. And be ready for follow-up questions here. They might ask, what did you learn from that experience? Or how would you apply what you learned to future challenges?
Oh, good point. Okay, next one. How do you stay up to date with the latest trends and technologies in storyboarding? I mean, this field is always evolving. Software, techniques, the whole thing.
It moves fast, yeah. Showing you're a lifelong learner is crucial. And here's the thing, don't just list software names. Talk about resources you actually use, blogs, podcasts, courses, things like that.
Shows that genuine passion. And actually, this is where RoleCatcher's AI can be a huge help again. It can suggest industry-specific trends to mention based on the specific job you're applying for.
Oh, that's smart.
So like, if it's a gaming studio, you might talk about being interested in virtual production or real-time rendering, those kinds of workflows.
Great example. Okay, next question. How do you approach conveying emotion and character development through your storyboards? This is where your artistic vision really comes in.
It's going beyond just drawing skills at this point. You have to understand how to make people feel things through your choices.
Yeah, think about composition, camera angles, how you pose the characters, even things like light and shadow. Can you make someone look powerful or vulnerable just by how you frame them? Or how do you show joy, sadness, tension, all those subtle things that make a story really work?
And they might even ask, can you give an example from a film or TV show where you felt the storyboarding really nailed that, where it conveyed emotion effectively? Film buff knowledge time.
Absolutely. Don't be shy about geeking out a little here. Show that passion. Okay, next one. How would you handle a situation where your initial storyboard concept is rejected by the director? This is a big one, right? Rejection is just part of the game.
Happens to everyone.
Yeah.
But they want to see how you deal with it.
Right. The key is to focus on how you see feedback as a chance to improve, to make things stronger. Don't pretend it's never happened. Instead, you could say something like, I'm all about open communication and collaboration. I would listen carefully to the director's concerns, ask questions to make sure I understood their vision, and then work to incorporate that feedback while staying true to the core of the story. Something like that.
Shows maturity, a collaborative spirit, all those good things. And this is another spot where RoleCatcher's AI can help, right? It can analyze how you're phrasing those answers and suggest improvements.
Yeah, making sure you're hitting those keywords that make a hiring manager go, aha,
Yeah.
this is the one.
Awesome. Okay, here's another one. What software programs are you proficient in, and how do you utilize them in your storyboarding process? Now, this is where you get to show off your toolkit, so to speak.
This is it, yeah. Be specific here. Don't just rattle off names. Explain how you use each program in your actual workflow. What are your strengths? How do you make things efficient?
And if you've got any special skills or techniques, this is the time to mention those.
Oh, absolutely. Like, if you're good with 3D pre-visualization software, you can mention how that helps you plan complicated camera moves or special effects shots. Or if you're a Photoshop whiz, you could talk about how you use that to create super detailed character designs or atmospheric backgrounds, that kind of thing.
And they might even say, can you show us examples of your work using those programs? So portfolio time. Make sure it's updated and ready to go.
Absolutely. Portfolio is key. And you know what? RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you figure out what software skills matter most to the jobs you're applying for.
So you can tailor your portfolio to highlight those specific strengths. That's so smart.
It's about playing smart, right? All right, on to the next one. How do you approach working within a budget and a tight deadline? This is the reality of the industry, right? They need to know you can handle the pressure. But for sure, time management skills are super important here. Your ability to prioritize, to be resourceful. Can you find ways to simplify a scene without losing its impact? Can you work with pre-existing assets or templates to save time? Those kinds of things.
So it's about being efficient without sacrificing quality.
Yeah.
Making strategic choices.
Exactly. They might even ask, tell me about a time you had to adjust your workflow to meet a crazy deadline. What did you do? Have a specific example ready to go that shows you can adapt.
Good call. Preparation is everything. And actually, speaking of preparation, this is another area where RoleCatcher's AI shines. It can simulate mock interviews and give you personalized feedback on your answers. It's like a practice run before the big game.
That's incredible. Helps you iron out any kinks and make your answers super strong. Okay, next up. Who are some of your favorite storyboard artists and what inspires you about their work? All right, time to geek out. This is where your passion for the craft comes in, your knowledge of the field.
Go beyond just listing names, right? Tell them why these artists matter to you.
Exactly. Choose people whose work really speaks to you, and then explain why. Is it their use of dynamic composition, their ability to nail emotions, their mastery of a particular style? Show that you've really studied their work, that you're drawing inspiration from what they do.
And be ready for them to say, show us some examples, show us what you've learned from them. So having some visuals ready, whether from films or comics or even fine art, can be super helpful.
Absolutely. It shows you've done your homework. You're not just making stuff up. All right, ready for the next challenge?
Bring it on.
Okay, here we go. How do you see the role of a storyboard artist fitting into the overall filmmaking process? This one's a bit bigger picture, testing your understanding of how everyone works together.
It's about knowing your role on a team, working towards a shared goal.
Yeah. Emphasize those communication skills, your ability to work well with directors, cinematographers, production designers, everyone. You're a bridge between the vision and the actual making of the film.
Making sure everyone's on the same page, working towards that same end goal.
Exactly. And remember, with RoleCatcher's AI, you can tailor your answers to fit specific roles. Like, if it's a smaller production company, you might want to talk about your versatility, your willingness to wear multiple hats.
If it's a big studio, you'd lean more into your experience with specific workflows or pipelines. That's a smart use of the AI.
Absolutely. It's about showcasing what's most relevant to the opportunity. Okay, classic question time. What are your strengths and weaknesses as a storyboard artist? This one can be tricky, but honestly, it's about self-awareness.
Be honest, but strategic.
Right. For strengths, focus on what matters most for the job. Your drawing skills, storytelling ability, your collaborative spirit, time management, all that good stuff. But then for weaknesses.
Choose something that's not mission critical. and try to frame it positively.
Exactly. Something like, I sometimes get super focused on the details, so I'm working on streamlining my process to meet deadlines more efficiently, you know?
Show self-awareness and a desire to keep improving. And hey, RoleCatcher's AI can help you figure out which strengths and weaknesses are most valued for this type of role.
Yeah.
Give you some insight into what they're really looking for.
Oh, that's super helpful.
Okay, here's one that's a bit of a curveball. If you were given a scene with minimal direction, how would you approach developing the storyboard? This is about those creative instincts, taking initiative.
They want to see that you can generate ideas on your own, that you're not afraid to bring your own vision to the table. So you could talk about how you brainstorm different visual approaches. Would you explore various camera angles, experiment with lighting, maybe even play around with different drawing styles to evoke different emotions, that kind of thing?
Showing them you're not just following instructions, but you're thinking creatively, bringing something unique to the project.
Exactly, and they might ask, what are some key things you'd keep in mind when developing a storyboard with basically no direction? Think about things like tone, mood, pacing, character development, all those things that make a story work.
And RoleCatcher's AI can help you figure out what they're really looking for in these open-ended questions. Give you the confidence to nail your answer.
Amazing. Okay, ready for the next one.
Hit me.
All right. How do you approach drawing action sequences in a way that is both dynamic and clear? This is all about showing that you can make things exciting, but still easy to understand.
Make good action pop off the page.
Yeah, exactly. So talk about things like dynamic posing, line of action, how you guide the viewer's eye through the sequence. You could even mention techniques like motion blur, speed lines, impact frames, all those things that emphasize the energy of the action. But don't forget about the storytelling. Even in a crazy action scene, people need to understand what's going on, who's doing what.
It all comes back to that clear storytelling.
Absolutely. They might even ask, show us some examples where you've done this well. Show us your action chops. So make sure your portfolio has some pieces that highlight this skill.
Portfolio's coming in clutch again.
It's your best friend. And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can help you pick the right pieces for each job. All right, moving right along. How do you use composition and framing to guide the viewer's eye and tell a story through your storyboards? This one's all about those visual storytelling fundamentals.
That's the art of it, right? More than just drawing, but making those drawings tell a story.
Exactly. Show them you understand things like the rule of thirds, leading lines, negative space, all that good stuff. Talk about how you use different shot sizes and camera angles to create a sense of depth, drama, and emotion. Like, a close-up can convey emotion. A wide shot can establish the setting or create a sense of scale.
Oh, and they might ask, could you analyze a scene from a film or TV show and explain how the composition and framing help tell that story? So be ready to geek out about your favorite films and break down why they work visually.
Love it. It shows you're not just drawing pretty pictures, but you're really thinking about how those pictures work together to tell a story. Okay, ready for more?
Hit me.
All right, here's one that tests your versatility. Have you ever had to adjust your storyboarding style to fit a particular genre or director's vision? If so, how did you approach it? This is a chance to show you're not just a one-trick pony.
You're adaptable, willing to step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah. Pick a specific example where you had to switch things up. Maybe you went from a realistic style to a more stylized one. Or maybe you adjusted your pacing and composition to match a director's unique vision. Talk about the challenges you faced and how you did your research, experimented, and ultimately found the right visual language for that project.
Shows that you're willing to learn and grow as an artist. And hey, RoleCatcher's AI can help you here too, right? It can identify the genre and style preferences that are most relevant to the jobs you're applying for, so you can tailor your answers to what they're looking for.
That's so smart. Okay, here's a good one. What do you love most about being a storyboard artist? This one's all about letting that passion shine through. Less about technical skills and more about your connection to the work.
Be authentic. Be enthusiastic.
Exactly. Talk about what drives you, what inspires you. The challenge of translating words into images, the collaboration, the joy of seeing your work come to life on screen. You could even mention specific projects you've loved working on or the parts of the job that give you the most satisfaction.
And be ready for them to say, tell us about a project you were really passionate about. Why did it resonate with you? Be ready to talk about your work with that spark in your eye.
That passion is contagious. Okay, let's see what else we got. How do you consider the target audience when creating your storyboards? This one shows you're not just thinking about the visuals, but also the impact your work will have on the people watching it.
Understanding who you're trying to reach and making choices that will resonate with them.
Exactly. It's about understanding demographics, cultural references, even things like the emotional sensibilities of the audience. Are you creating storyboards for a kids' movie, a crime thriller, a rom-com? Each one's going to have a different approach.
And a good storyboard artist knows how to adapt.
Right. They might even ask, give me an example. How would you adjust your style to appeal to a specific group of people? So be ready to think on your feet and show them you're adaptable.
And that's another spot where RoleCatcher's AI can come in handy. It can help you research the target audience for specific jobs so you can tailor your answers accordingly, show them you understand the market.
It's about being prepared. Okay, here's one that's all about professionalism. How do you handle feedback and criticism on your work? This one's crucial.
Don't get defensive. Focus on how you use feedback to grow as an artist.
Exactly. You can say something like, I see feedback as a chance to make things better, to really refine my work. I'm open to criticism. I want to learn from others. Something like that.
Shows that you're a team player. You're willing to learn and collaborate.
Absolutely. And they might even ask, give me an example. Tell me about a time you got some tough feedback and how you used it to make things better. Have a specific story ready that shows how you can take criticism gracefully.
Good tip. And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can analyze your answers and suggest improvements. Make sure you're hitting those keywords that hiring managers love to hear.
It's like having a secret weapon. Okay, let's tackle another question, shall we? How do you ensure continuity and consistency in your storyboards? This is all about paying attention to the details, making sure everything looks and feels right from scene to scene.
Keeping it all cohesive, making sure it all flows together.
Right. Talk about things like character design, props, backgrounds, even the overall visual style. You want to avoid those jarring moments where something just feels off. Mention how you create model sheets, use reference materials, and really double-check your work for errors.
Show them you're meticulous, you care about the details.
Exactly. And they might ask, have you ever caught a continuity error in a storyboard? How did you fix it? Have a specific example ready to go that shows your sharp eye for detail.
Good point. Preparation is key.
Absolutely. And RoleCatcher's AI can even help you identify the specific continuity standards that are most relevant to the jobs you're targeting, so you can tailor your answers accordingly.
All right, this next question gets into the nitty-gritty of project management. How do you manage your time and prioritize tasks when working on a large-scale storyboard project? This is particularly important if you're aiming for those big, complex productions.
Time management is crucial, yeah. This is where you break down a huge project into manageable chunks, set realistic deadlines, use those project management tools effectively, show them you can handle the chaos.
And stay organized amidst the storm.
Exactly. And be ready for them to ask, tell me about a time you had to juggle a million tasks with a crazy deadline. How'd you make it work? Have a specific example that shows your organizational superpowers.
Great advice. And hey, remember RoleCatcher's AI. It can also do those mock interviews and give you personalized feedback on how you're answering these tricky time management questions. It's like having a practice run before the big game.
It's a game changer for sure. All right, let's see. How would you approach a situation where you disagree with the director's creative vision for a particular scene? Oh, this one can be a bit tricky.
It's all about handling those creative differences professionally.
Right, exactly. It's about showing that you can navigate those tricky situations with diplomacy and respect. Don't be confrontational. Focus on communication, on finding that common ground. You could say something like, open communication is so important when creative differences pop up. I would listen to the director's perspective, ask questions to really understand their vision, and then present my own ideas in a clear and respectful way.
Shows that you're a team player willing to collaborate and find solutions.
Right. And they might even ask, tell me about a time you successfully navigated a creative disagreement. Have an example ready to go, one where you compromised and found a solution that worked for everyone.
And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can help you figure out how to approach these tough questions and highlight those key skills that will impress them. Okay, ready for another one?
Hit me.
All right. How do you stay up to date with the latest trends in filmmaking and storytelling? This shows you're passionate about your craft. You're always looking to grow and evolve.
Exactly. This is where you talk about how you engage with the industry. Mention those publications, blogs, podcasts, online courses, all of it. Talk about film festivals, workshops, conferences you've attended.
Show them you're actively seeking out new knowledge and inspiration.
Absolutely. And be ready for them to say, what have you learned lately? What's exciting you right now? Have an example ready, a specific trend, technique, or film that's inspired you recently.
Great advice. Okay, let's tackle another question about managing multiple projects. How do you manage your time and workload when juggling multiple storyboarding projects at once? Especially relevant if you're going for freelance work or a role where you'll be hopping between productions.
Yeah, that's a common scenario. This is where you highlight your time management skills and your ability to prioritize tasks effectively. Talk about those calendars, to-do lists, project management software, all the tools you use to stay organized and on track.
Show them you can handle those deadlines, even when things get hectic.
Exactly. And they might even ask, tell me about a time you had multiple projects with tight deadlines. How did you make it happen? Have a specific example that showcases those organizational skills.
Preparation is everything. And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can help you with that. Those mock interviews and personalized feedback are a huge advantage.
It's like having a personal coach in your pocket. All right, let's see. How would you approach developing a unique visual style for a storyboard? Now, this one lets you get into your artistic vision, what sets you apart as a storyboard artist.
It's about showing that you're not just copying what's already been done. You have your own creative voice.
Exactly. Talk about how you research and gather inspiration. Do you study different films, comics, art movements? Do you experiment with different drawing techniques or color palettes?
Show them you're developing your own visual language.
Right. They might even ask, show us some examples of your unique style. Let us see what you've got. Make sure your portfolio includes those pieces that really highlight your range and your individual voice.
Another great use of that portfolio. Okay, here's a question that can trip people up.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about a time you had to work with a difficult director or team member. How did you handle it?
Oh, yeah, the dreaded difficult person question. The key here is to stay professional and focus on how you navigated that challenge.
Don't badmouth anyone.
Exactly. Choose an example where there was a miscommunication, a difference of opinion, a personality clash, something like that. Then explain how you handled it. Did you listen carefully? Did you try to find common ground? Did you seek help from someone else to mediate the situation?
Show them you can handle conflict maturely and find solutions that benefit the whole team.
Right. And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can help you analyze these tough questions and find the best approach to showcase your strengths. Okay, ready for another one?
Bring it on.
All right, here's a question about your commitment to learning and growth. How do you stay up to date with the latest trends in filmmaking and storytelling? This shows that you're passionate, that you're always trying to get better. Yeah, you're not just coasting. Mention those industry publications, blogs, podcasts, courses, all of it. Talk about attending film festivals, workshops, conferences.
Show them you're a proactive learner.
Right. They might even ask, what's something you've learned recently that's really inspired you? So have an example ready, something specific that's grabbed your attention.
Great tip. Okay, let's see. This next one gets into the technical side of things. How do you approach storyboarding scenes that involve complex camera movements or special effects? This is where you get to flex those cinematic muscles, so to speak.
It's about showing that you understand how those technical elements work together with the storytelling. You could mention your familiarity with different camera angles, movements like pans and tilts, even your ability to suggest visual effects that enhance the story.
Yeah, if you're comfortable with 3D pre-visualization software or motion graphics, this is a great place to bring those up.
Absolutely. And be ready for them to say, walk us through a specific scene. How would you approach a complex camera movement? Be prepared to break things down and explain those visual choices.
Shows you're thinking deeply about how those images will translate to the screen, how they'll create a specific experience for the viewer. Okay, this next one seems to broaden the scope a bit. What are some of the key considerations when designing the overall visual style of a film or TV show?
Yeah. This is about understanding how all those visual elements, color palettes, lighting styles, level of realism, all contribute to the mood and atmosphere of the story.
It's like creating a whole visual language for that world.
Exactly. You could even mention some films or TV shows that you love for their distinctive visual styles and explain how those choices enhance the storytelling.
They might ask, imagine a film in a certain genre. Describe the visual style you'd create. So be ready to get creative and show off that artistic vision.
It's about showing that you can think conceptually and create a cohesive visual world for the story. Okay, ready for another one?
Absolutely.
All right. How do you balance the need for creative expression with the need to meet the director's specific requirements? This is a classic balancing act. Every artist who collaborates has to figure this one out.
It's that sweet spot between bringing your own ideas to the table while also respecting the director's vision.
Exactly. You want to show them you can listen, you can take direction, but you can also offer creative solutions and bring your own unique perspective.
You're a collaborator and an innovator.
That's it. They might ask, tell me about a time you had to balance your own ideas with the director's vision. How did you make it work? Have a good example ready that shows your diplomacy and professionalism.
Great advice. And listeners, remember, RoleCatcher's AI can help you analyze these trigger questions and figure out the best approach to highlight those key skills that will make them go, wow, this is the one.
All right, ready for another challenge.
Hit me.
Tell me about a time you had to overcome a technical challenge while creating a storyboard. How did you solve the problem? This is all about showing your resourcefulness, your ability to think on your feet.
When things go wrong, how do you fix them?
Exactly. Think about a time you hit a snag, a software glitch, a visual effect you weren't sure how to achieve, whatever it was. Explain the challenge and then walk them through your solution. Did you scour online tutorials? Did you experiment with different techniques? Did you reach out to other artists or experts?
It's all about showing that you're a problem solver. You don't give up easily.
Absolutely. And they might ask, what did you learn from that? How would you apply that knowledge to future challenges? So be ready to talk about those lessons learned and how you've grown as an artist.
Okay, this next question touches on something really important. What are some of the ethical considerations that storyboard artists should be aware of? This is about showing that you're not just thinking about the technical aspects, but also the impact of your work on the audience.
This is huge. It's about recognizing that storyboards have power, they can shape perceptions and influence how people see the world. So talk about things like avoiding harmful stereotypes, depicting violence responsibly, and being respectful of different cultures.
It shows you're not just an artist, you're a responsible storyteller.
Exactly. And they might even ask, have you ever faced an ethical dilemma while storyboarding? How did you approach it? Have an example ready that showcases your thoughtfulness and your commitment to creating stories that are both entertaining and ethically sound.
Okay, let's shift gears and focus on collaboration. How do you collaborate with other departments, like cinematography and production design, to ensure a cohesive visual style for the project? This is all about working as a team to bring that vision to life.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right? You want to emphasize your communication skills, your ability to listen to others, and work together to achieve that shared goal.
You're a bridge between different departments, making sure everyone's on the same page visually.
Exactly. You could even mention specific examples of how you've worked with cinematographers to plan shots and lighting, or with production designers to create sets that complement your storyboards.
They might even ask, tell us about a specific time you collaborated with another department to solve a problem. Have a good example ready that showcases those teamwork skills.
Great point. It's about showing that you understand how all the pieces fit together to create a film. And hey, remember RoleCatcher? Their AI can actually help you identify the specific collaborative skills that are most valued for storyboard artists, so you can tailor your answers to highlight what they're really looking for.
Okay, time for a question about personal growth. Tell me about a time you made a mistake on a storyboard project. What did you learn from it? Everyone makes mistakes, right? But what matters is what you learn from them.
It's all about showing that you're self-aware. You can learn from your experiences and grow as an artist.
Pick an example where you messed up, but you really learned something valuable from it. Explain what happened, what went wrong, and then focus on the lesson.
Right. Did you discover a new technique? Did you gain a better understanding of a concept? Did you improve your communication skills? Whatever it was. And be ready for them to say, how has that experience changed the way you approach storyboarding?
Show them you're constantly evolving and learning from your mistakes. And hey, RoleCatcher's AI can help you analyze these questions and figure out the best way to present those lessons learned.
All right, let's see. What are some of the key qualities that make a storyboard effective? This one's all about demonstrating your understanding of what makes good visual storytelling.
It's about articulating the core principles that guide your work, showcasing your knowledge of the craft.
Exactly. So think about things like clarity, conciseness, visual impact, emotional resonance. Can you convey the director's vision clearly and effectively? They might ask, give me an example of a storyboard you think is really effective and explain why. Be ready to geek out about a great storyboard and break down what makes it so good.
Show them you've studied the work of others and that you can articulate what makes a storyboard successful. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. This next question focuses on your adaptability. How do you approach working with different directors who may have different styles or preferences? Every director is different.
Every director is different, right? They've got their own way of working, their own way of communicating. Being adaptable is key.
It's like being a chameleon, blending in with each director's style.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be a good listener, open to feedback, and ready to adjust your workflow to fit their needs.
And be ready for that follow-up question. Tell me about a time you had to adjust your style to work with a particular director. Have a specific story ready that shows how flexible you can be.
Great advice. Okay, this next question gets a little more big picture. How does the storyboard influence the overall pacing and rhythm of a film or TV show?
This is about understanding that a storyboard isn't just a bunch of pretty pictures. It's a roadmap for the whole feel of the film.
Exactly. It dictates the length of each shot, the transitions between scenes, the overall visual rhythm. Think about it. A fast-paced action sequence needs quick cuts, dynamic camera angles. A slower, more contemplative scene might call for longer takes, static shots.
And a good storyboard artist knows how to use those tools to create the right effect.
Absolutely. They might even ask, can you think of a film or TV show where the storyboarding really nailed that specific pace or rhythm? Have an example ready.
It's a chance to show off your film knowledge and your understanding of how those visual choices impact the whole story.
Exactly. Okay, next question. How do you approach storyboarding scenes with lots of dialogue? Might seem simple, but it can be tricky.
Yeah, you got to keep things visually interesting even when the focus is on the words.
Right. You don't want static shots of people just talking. Think about how you can use composition, character posing, camera angles to add some visual energy.
Maybe use close-ups for those emotional moments, 2 shots to show the dynamic between characters, even subtle camera movements to create some flow.
Exactly. And think about pacing, even in those dialogue-heavy scenes. Varying the shot lengths and camera angles so things don't get stale.
They might even ask, show us some examples of your work where you've storyboarded those dialogue scenes effectively. So another chance to shine with that portfolio.
Absolutely. And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can help you pick the right pieces for each job. Okay, moving on. What are some of the challenges of working with digital storyboarding software, and how do you overcome them?
The tech side of things. This is about showing you're not just an artist, you're also comfortable with the tools of the trade.
Yeah, and that you can troubleshoot when things get tricky.
So talk about things like software glitches, those moments where the tech just doesn't cooperate. Mention the need to constantly update your skills, learn new software versions, back up your work, all that good stuff.
Right, and focus on how you problem solve. Do you hit those online tutorials? Call tech support. Figure out workarounds. Show them you're resourceful.
All right, next question. Tell me about a time you had to revise a storyboard based on feedback from a director or client. How did you approach those revisions? Revisions are just part of the job, right?
Oh, absolutely. This is about showing that you can take feedback gracefully, that you understand the collaborative nature of this work.
It's not about being precious about your art. It's about working together to make the best possible product.
Exactly. Choose an example where you had to make some big changes based on feedback and explain how you handled it. Did you ask questions to clarify? Did you discuss your ideas and concerns? Did you work with the director to find a solution that everyone was happy with?
It's about showing you're professional, you can communicate effectively, and you're willing to compromise.
Right. Okay, this next question is a bit more personal. Why did you choose to become a storyboard artist? What motivates you? This is your chance to let that passion shine through.
Time to gush about what you love.
Exactly. Talk about what drew you to this field, what inspires you, what gets you excited to come to work every day.
Share your love for storytelling, for film, for the creative process.
Right. You could even talk about specific projects you've loved working on, the parts of the job that bring you the most satisfaction.
And they might ask, tell me about a project that you're especially proud of. Why did it mean so much to you? Be prepared to talk about those projects with that spark in your eye.
Passion is contagious. Okay, here's a fun one. If you were given a scene with almost no dialogue, how would you approach creating the storyboard to tell the story effectively?
It's like being a silent film director.
Exactly. It's all about visual storytelling. Think about those clear visual cues and symbols, the pacing, the variety of shots. You need to keep the audience engaged even without relying on words.
They might even ask, can you think of a film or TV show that does a great job of telling a story without much dialogue? How do they pull it off?
It's a chance to show your knowledge of film and your understanding of how visual choices can create a powerful narrative.
Okay, next question. How do you use color and lighting to set the mood and atmosphere of a scene in your storyboards? This one really gets at the heart of how visuals create emotion.
Yeah, color and light are powerful storytelling tools. Think about color theory. Warm colors for passion or danger. Cool colors for calmness or mystery.
And shadows and highlights can add so much depth and drama. A dimly lit scene feels totally different from a brightly lit one.
Right. Be ready for them to ask, show us some examples where you've used color and light to create a specific mood. Talk about those choices and why you made them.
Okay, this next one is about adapting to different mediums. Have you ever had to adjust your storyboarding style to fit a particular medium, like animation or live action? If so, how did you approach it?
This is a great question because it shows that you understand that different mediums have different demands. Animation often calls for more exaggerated movements and poses, while live action needs to feel more grounded.
You might also have to consider things like the frame rate or aspect ratio for each medium.
Absolutely. Be prepared to give a specific example of how you adjusted your style and the challenges you faced. Okay, time for a little film history geek out. Who are some of your favorite storyboard artists from film history, and what do you admire about their work?
This is a fun one. Time to gush about the masters of the craft.
Choose artists whose work really inspires you and explain why. Talk about their style, their technique, their storytelling.
You could talk about legends like Alfred Hitchcock, known for his incredibly detailed storyboards. Or maybe some contemporary artists who are influencing films and video games today.
They might ask, show us some examples of their work that have inspired you. How have they influenced your style? So, have some visual references ready to share.
Okay, back to the practical realities of the job. How do you approach storyboarding a scene when there's a limited budget or a challenging location?
This is a test of your resourcefulness, your ability to think outside the box. Show them you can find creative solutions, even with constraints.
It's about understanding that sometimes you have to work within limitations and still deliver amazing results.
Right. You could talk about your willingness to simplify things without losing the emotional impact, or about suggesting alternative locations or camera angles that work within the budget. You could even discuss using visual effects or other techniques to overcome those challenges.
They might even ask, tell me about a time you had to storyboard a scene with limited resources. How did you make it work? Have a specific example ready to go that shows your adaptability.
Okay, next question. What excites you most about the future of storyboarding? A chance to talk about those big ideas.
Time to look ahead, to talk about those trends and technologies that are shaping the future of filmmaking and visual storytelling.
Exactly. Think about virtual reality, augmented reality, motion capture, all of it. You could mention how those technologies are creating new opportunities for storyboarding, new ways to tell stories and engage audiences.
You could also talk about the growing demand for storyboards in video games, web series, and other digital mediums.
Right. And if you've got any personal projects or experiments you've been working on, those are great to mention too. Shows you're not just talking the talk, you're walking the walk.
Okay, we're getting down to the wire now. Ready for another one?
Hit me.
All right, this one's important. How do you ensure that your storyboards are inclusive and represent a diverse range of characters and perspectives? This is about recognizing that storyboards have power. They can shape how people see the world.
It's about showing that you're not just a skilled artist, but also a responsible storyteller who cares about representation. Exactly. You could talk about your commitment to creating characters that are nuanced and relatable, avoiding harmful stereotypes and cliches. You can also talk about how important it is to do your research and even consult with people from diverse backgrounds to make sure your portrayals are authentic.
They might follow up with, give me an example of how you've incorporated diverse perspectives into your storyboards. Be prepared to discuss those specific choices you've made. Okay, let's shift gears back to a more practical question. How do you consider the target audience when creating your storyboards? This one's crucial because it shows that you understand that storyboards are created with a specific audience in mind.
Yeah, you're not just drawing for yourself, you're communicating a story.
It's about showing that you can tailor your approach to different audiences, whether it's kids, adults,
Right.
the specific demographic.
Exactly. So highlight your ability to adapt your style and approach to suit the age, demographics, and cultural background of the target audience. A storyboard for a kids' movie is going to look very different from a storyboard for a gritty crime thriller.
They might ask, give me an example. How would you adjust your style to appeal to a particular demographic? Be ready to think on your feet and show them you've got that flexibility.
And remember, RoleCatcher's AI can help you research the target audience for specific jobs. That can be a big help in tailoring your answers.
Okay, time for a tough one. Tell me about a time you had to compromise on a creative decision while working on a storyboard. How did you handle it?
Yeah, compromise is part of the game. This question is testing your ability to collaborate effectively.
It's about showing you can handle those situations professionally without letting ego get in the way.
Exactly. Choose an example where you had to make a concession, maybe to accommodate the director, the client, or the needs of the project. Explain the situation, your initial idea, why you had to compromise, and how you found a solution.
It's about showing your maturity and your ability to prioritize the project as a whole.
Right. And be ready for the follow-up. What did you learn from that? How has it changed how you approach collaboration?
Okay, let's talk tech skills. What software programs do you use most often for storyboarding, and why? This is your chance to show off your toolkit.
Absolutely. Be specific here. Don't just name the programs, but explain why you like them. Highlight their strengths, how they fit into your workflow.
Mention those favorite features or tools or any techniques or shortcuts you've discovered to make things more efficient.
Right. And have your portfolio ready. They might ask, can you show us examples of your work using those programs? Maybe highlight some specific techniques or features? It's all about showcasing your mastery of the tools.
Okay, here's a question that looks ahead. How do you see the role of the storyboard artist evolving in the future of filmmaking? This is a chance to show your passion for the craft and your awareness of the bigger picture.
Yeah, time to talk about those big ideas. Think about the trends and technologies that are shaping the industry. Things like VR, AR, AI, the growing connection between film, TV, and video games.
You could talk about the increasing need for storyboards in new mediums, like interactive storytelling or virtual production.
Right. And if you have any personal projects or experiments you've been working on, definitely mention those. Shows that you're pushing the boundaries of the craft.
Okay, let's get real for a second. How do you deal with creative setbacks or criticism? Those moments when things don't go as planned.
This is about showing that you can handle those tough moments, that you're resilient and have a positive attitude.
It's about emotional intelligence and the ability to bounce back from those setbacks.
Exactly. Emphasize your ability to learn from your mistakes, to see criticism as an opportunity to grow and to come back stronger. You could even mention having a support network of colleagues or mentors who can help you through those rough patches.
All right, last question before we wrap things up.
Oh.
How do you approach working with a team of other storyboard artists on a big project? Large-scale productions often involve multiple artists working together.
Teamwork is everything in this industry.
So this is about highlighting those collaborative skills, your ability to communicate clearly, listen to feedback, and find solutions that work for the whole team.
Exactly. Talk about your experience using collaborative software, those online tools that help everyone stay connected.
It's about being a team player and contributing your unique skills to a shared vision.
And listeners, remember, RoleCatcher's AI can help you figure out which collaborative skills matter most for these jobs. Give you that edge. Okay, last question. What are some of the current trends in storyboarding, and how do you stay up to date? This is your chance to show that you're plugged in, you're aware of what's happening in the industry.
Time to talk about those exciting new developments that are shaping the craft.
Exactly. Think about virtual reality, augmented reality, motion capture technology, the convergence of film, TV, and video games, all of that. Mention the conferences and online communities where you connect with other artists and stay informed.
And be ready for them to say, tell us about a trend or technology you're excited about and why. Have something specific in mind that shows your passion for the craft.
Great. All right, let's end on a fun one. If you could storyboard any scene from any film, which scene would you choose and why?
The dream scenario question.
It's a chance to geek out about your favorite films and show off your knowledge of cinema history. It's also about showing that you understand what makes a scene visually compelling. So pick a scene that really resonates with you, one that's visually stunning, emotionally impactful, or just really complex. Explain your choice to the interviewer, talking about the specific elements that make it so interesting to you. The composition, the camera angles, the lighting, whatever grabs you. They might ask, how would you approach storyboarding that scene? What visual choices would you make? So be ready to talk about your creative vision and how you'd bring that scene to life on the page.
Okay, we've covered so much ground today, but there's one final question I want to ask, one that really gets to the heart of this role. What do you believe is the most important role of a storyboard artist in the filmmaking process?
This is it, the big one. This is your chance to summarize everything we've talked about and articulate your understanding of the core value of this work.
It's about showing that you're not just a skilled artist, but a storyteller, a problem solver, a collaborator who plays a vital role in bringing a film to life.
Exactly. Think about those key roles. communicating the director's vision to the crew, creating that visual blueprint that guides the pacing and the editing, anticipating challenges, finding solutions, and ultimately using that visual language to tell a compelling and engaging story.
This is where you really drive home the value and the impact you bring as a storyboard artist.
Absolutely. It's about wrapping it all up, your passion, your skills, your dedication to the craft.
Well, I feel like we just did a storyboarding boot camp. Seriously,
Yeah.
we covered so much, from the technical stuff to those creative challenges, and of course that collaborative spirit that's so essential in this line of work.
And with all these amazing insights from RoleCatcher, those guides and their co-pilot AI, you're going to walk into that interview feeling like a rock star.
I mean, imagine having an AI analyze the job description and tell you exactly which skills to emphasize or give you feedback on your practice answers. It's like a cheat code for interview prep.
It takes away so much of that stress and lets you focus on showing them who you are, what makes you unique.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one piece of advice you'd give to someone getting ready for a storyboard artist interview?
That's a good one. I'd say be yourself, be passionate, and show them you're a storyteller at heart. The technical skills are important, of course, but it's that love for film, that ability to bring stories to life visually that's going to make you stand out.
Yeah, let that personality shine through. This is a creative field, so embrace what makes you, you. Let that enthusiasm for the work speak for itself.
Exactly. And remember, even if you trip up on a question or two, it's your overall attitude, your willingness to learn that will leave a lasting impression.
That's such a good point. It's not about being perfect, it's about being genuine and showing them how much you care about this work.
Absolutely. And hey, don't forget, RoleCatcher is there to help you every step of the way. Their resources, their AI tools, they can give you that extra boost of confidence to land your dream job.
So, to all our aspiring storyboard artists out there, go get them, knock them dead, and never stop telling those incredible stories.
That's it. Until next time, keep on creating.
And keep diving deep.